Okay. How's everybody doing? Councilman Isaiah Thomas, live on Instagram, live on Facebook. First and foremost, I'm hoping that folks are well in their homes and with their families. I know it's not the easiest thing to isolate yourself and to be in quarantine, but it's important that we're taking it serious. This is a very serious time. It's something that we've never seen in my lifetime. And I did want to just take a minute to give folks an update as to what's going on specifically from a city perspective, give people an opportunity to answer any questions and dispel any myths. I'm sorry, hold on one second. I'm sorry, yeah, so to answer any questions or dispel any myths, and here we go. So if you want to ask a question, you can feel free to ask your question in the comments section. I'll try to my best to answer your questions while going through this stuff right here. All right. So with that being said, we're going to get started. So the first thing on the Philadelphia level, there was a graphic on social media that was kind of went viral. You even seen it on the Shade Room. And basically the graphic was talking about Philly just kind of being a place where it had, I guess you could say, open season for criminal activity. That is one of the things that prompted me to come on live today, just to kind of talk about that. The police commissioner, she did hold a press conference today, just to let folks know that was information that was leaked. It was not supposed to be available to the public. It was leaked. And that information doesn't mean that police won't arrest people and folks and crimes essentially won't be prosecuted. Right now in the city of Philadelphia, we have more surveillance that's monitoring neighborhoods than any other time in the history of the city. And if you think about how low the activity is all across the city, the likelihood of getting caught doing anything right now is significantly high. I'll be honest with you, I'm on calls with elected officials and leaders across the city all the time. We've already been sent videos of different things that's happening, and you could clearly see the people who committed the crime. So please don't think that it's about to be a situation where it's going to be a purge or people are going to have a lot of criminal activity. I can tell you for sure that that's not going to be the case. And the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to put folks in a position where they're going to call more reinforcements because we're going to make sure that citizens in Philadelphia stay safe. So I know I shared some information from the police commissioner's statement based on that yesterday. That information was essentially something that I know other elected officials shared. Unfortunately, it didn't get the same traction that the leaked information got yesterday, but that's up to us as individuals to make sure that we share that information so we can make sure that we're keeping people safe. Outside of that, we have 34 new cases here in the city of Philadelphia. That is an expected curve as we continue to increase the accessibility and the availability for people to take tests. We can expect to see an increase in the number of confirmed cases. The concern here in Philadelphia is that 19 of those new cases were young people, were millennials. And so we are concerned with that because that means that a lot of millennials are not taking this whole thing serious. And that's another reason that I decided to come on live today, is just to encourage people to take this serious. You might recover and you might see a lot of famous people who are millennials that are recovering, but you could give the disease to somebody else who in turn could have some type of terminal illness. I'm going to take a couple seconds to answer some questions. Hair salons in Philadelphia and barbershops are not considered an essential business. So technically they're supposed to be closed. We'll talk about small business stuff later, but that's the answer to that question. I'm not quite sure what that comment means. Give me a second. I'm just reading. If it's a question, I'll answer the question. If it's a comment, of course, you can feel free to comment. So the issue with free testing first of all, testing is, we could thank some of the federal stimulus package that's been passed. Testing is not something that you have to worry about being charged for. The problem is this, the availability to essentially take the test, because the availability right now is not accessible for everyone. Hospitals are asking that people get tested on a need basis currently, just so that the hospitals don't become overwhelmed. One of the things that we've seen took place and still is taking place in Italy is that the virus got so out of control that it began to overwhelm the hospitals. And so what we want to do is we want to, at this juncture of things, limit the people who essentially get tested, the people who are showing symptoms, so we can prioritize the people who we know are actually ill. Now, I know people ask all the time, well, what about professional athletes and rich people who essentially have access to taking a test, but they show those symptoms? Well, there's a number of different narratives around that. Number one, people who are priority to essentially get tested are people who've been exposed to it. So if you're an athlete, you're a professional athlete, the likelihood of you, especially if you're in the NBA, have been exposed to it is high, because we know about professional players who've been exposed to it. Also, there have been a number of teams and organizations who've decided to pay for the tests on those athletes themselves. So that's another reason why you hear about professional athletes getting the test, because they essentially had that, it was essentially paid for. Just want to take a moment to acknowledge what I'm wearing, because I brought up athletes. Folks know I'm a high school basketball coach. Just wanted to take a minute to offer my concern and heartfelt emotions to the young people who are seniors in college and seniors in high school who had their winter sports athletic careers canceled. I firsthand know how disappointing that could be. Us Sankofa Warriors, we were in the middle of defending our state championship from last year, which we won last year around this time, which is why I'm wearing the jacket. So I feel for all those student athletes, because I understand how difficult of a time this can be when, you're in the middle of practice and competing for a championship, and then, next thing you know, it's done. Who determines that need for testing? So if you feel like you're in need of testing, if you feel like you know somebody who's in need of testing, what we're asking in Philadelphia is to call your primary physician to let them know what's going on, and they will then advise you. Sometimes you're advised to go to the emergency room. Sometimes they'll talk to you about the symptoms that you're facing and give you other best practices. So we ask everybody in Philadelphia to start by calling your physician, and then go from there. A lot of thank yous. A lot of people who've logged in just let me know that they appreciate it. So just I apologize. I'm just going through the comments. I want to make sure I answer every question, and I do have other things. The test takes 5 days to come back. So how can Philly get more immediate results from the test? Are we going to see more tests available? Yes. So it takes 5 days to get back. That's where we are right now. We will see more tests available here in the city of Philadelphia. We are increasing capacity right now. If you want to get tested in the city of Philadelphia, you can go to Temple, University of Pennsylvania, as well as Jefferson Hospital. Those are 3 testing sites that exist right now. Those we will expand as to where you can get tested. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll make sure that I'm posting on social media, as well as trying to go live to give people an update. Isaiah, do you think we should tell our high school basketball players to stop working out with other people and stop playing outdoor pickup basketball? Based on what I've read, they shouldn't be playing basketball with any people. So I agree. I think right now what we need to do is we need to all just follow the advice that we've been given as far as stay home, limit our contact with people. As we've said in the city of Philadelphia right now, the majority of the new cases are young people, people who might not be at a high risk of being vulnerable as far as it being terminal or something that can cause significant damage to their body. But once you have the virus, you have the ability to carry it and transfer it to anybody that you come in contact with. So we're encouraging everybody to stay home. I know that there's a lot of basketball activity and basketball stuff planned. Like I said, I coach high school basketball myself, so I understand the sense of urgency. But right now is not the best time. What I would encourage young people is to work out by themselves, watch a lot of film, spend time working on your fundamentals, because this is a great time instead of high level of competition. I see Brother Issa, our boys better stay off the court. I agree 100%. Our boys better stay off the court, because this is a little more serious than high school basketball. I know schools are serving children during weekdays. Has there been any issues or bumps in the road with that process? What may organizations do to help? So, yeah, we are serving children and young people. I visited a couple rec centers today. From what I've seen, the process, it depends on what's going on in that rec center, in that neighborhood. I want to thank all those employees who are on the ground level that are essentially helping our children and serving those meals to folks who are in need. There are some things that's going well. There are some things that we can improve upon. And as a city, we will improve upon them. If you hear any issues, please feel free to let me know and my staff know, and we'll try our best to troubleshoot where we can. Drive-through tests are available in Philadelphia, yes, at Jefferson Hospital as well as UPenn. So that's already here. We are looking to create quarantine spaces. Shelters have been communicated with to get support from the city of Philadelphia to assure that those who live in a shelter are getting the resources that they need, especially if they've been diagnosed, which is why we're looking to create quarantine spaces. Do you know if the seasonal sports will be pushed back or terminated? Right now, the sports have been pushed back. There's been no decisions made. Athletics for the PIAA has been suspended for a minimum of 2 weeks. The Public League has suspended a little while longer than that. But as of right now, athletics are essentially on hold. On a municipal level, there's been a lot of questions around rent and mortgages. So just to let folks know, right now you cannot be evicted from your home in the city of Philadelphia. I see State Rep and our whip, Jordan Harris, is watching. The collaboration between city and state, of course, can be better, but we all are working hard, and I commend Jordan Harris as well as his colleagues on the state level. I've been in contact with him as well as Senator Williams to be able to discuss different ways that we all can support one another. And one of the things that we've done is assure that people cannot be evicted from their homes. You cannot be foreclosed on your mortgage. Your utilities cannot be cut off. Your Comcast cannot be cut off. And we assure that everybody who has the ability has some level of access to internet in the city of Philadelphia during this time. So with that being said, that does not mean that you do not have to pay these bills. What it does mean is that folks cannot accumulate the level of interest that they once would for people being late. And it also means that, again, these services cannot be cut off here in the city of Philadelphia. And again, that's because of a collaborative effort between a bunch of elected officials. Still provide more information. I know there's a lot of dialogue around Trump giving people money. I want to be clear. That's a great example of us needing to do a better job teaching civics and government in classrooms, because these are a lot of adults saying that stuff. The president cannot decide that he's going to just give you money. The legislative branch of the United States government, senators and members of Congress have said that in economists, even folks who work for me, they'll tell you that the best way to address this issue that the economy is facing is to put money directly in the pockets of citizens and Americans. So actually, one of the first people to say it was Mitt Romney. After Mitt Romney said it, you've seen legislation introduced from Democrats, including a piece of legislation led by former presidential candidate Cory Booker that has talked about putting anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500 in the pocket of every American to help assure that we offset the hit that the economy is going to face because of the standstill in business and in work as far as the coronavirus. So please don't think that this is one person saying that they're going to put money in folks' pocket. One of the biggest mistakes that has happened during this entire process is our ability to test. That's why we're all at home. That's why we're all in limbo, is because the truth is we really don't know how bad it is right now, not just in Philadelphia, but all across the country. That's why we're asking people to stay at home, is because we're so far behind as it relates to our ability to test people, to see who actually has it, that it makes it much more difficult to contain or control. So on a federal level, a huge shout out to Congressman Brendan Boyle, who's somebody we've been working with, as well as some of our Philly congressional delegates, Congressman Dwight Evans, as well as Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon, all folks who have been advocating for us on the city level to receive the resources that we need, specifically the business relief, so that we can offer some level of support to businesses here in the city of Philadelphia. So it's a collaborative effort. It's going to require people to work together, and we need every Philadelphian to do their part, which start with staying home. If you're a parent, encourage your children to stay home. My office, as well as the school district and other elected officials across the city, we're recommending resources and activities that families and young people can do to ensure that their time stays occupied, because I can imagine how difficult this is. I'm the father of a 7-year-old, and I know for a fact that we can all agree that teachers need a raise. Do you have information on the election? Yes. So the election, the primary for Pennsylvania, was scheduled to be April 28th. There is a push right now to move that primary to be June 2nd as of right now. We know that the primary is going to be pushed back here in the city of Philadelphia. I understand what it means because I ran for office 3 times. So I know what it means to be a challenger in the midst of this process. And so thinking about all the different challenges out there who have put themselves in a position and sacrificed and made themselves vulnerable to try to make their city and their state a better place. We're advocating for you. We're thinking about you, and we're thinking about the process of what it means to be a democracy. And that election is going to be put back. I always represent Kofa. Imani is my girl, absolutely. I wonder who she interning with. I feel kind of disrespected that she didn't even reach out to me, but that's a whole nother story. Who has valid tests that the Trump admin hasn't approved using? Oh, that's Dave. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate the information. Shout out to my freshman four. I see my sister Jamie has logged in. If you didn't hear, Jamie did a great interview earlier today on WRD. Those I couldn't ask for better sisters to be serving with right now. Let me just give a little bit more information because I don't see any questions, but I see a lot of folks logged in. This is going to be a big 48 hours for us, not just here in Philadelphia, but across the country as we see, as we increase our ability to test people, and we'll get a better idea of how many people have confirmed. She did. Imani did reach out. If you want to stay informed as to what's going on a city level, we have a hotline that folks can call. You can also communicate any concerns you have. That hotline number is 1-800-722-7112. Again, that number is 1-800-722-7112. And somebody from my staff that's watching, can you please put that in the comments so people can essentially get that number? And if you want to stay in contact with what updates are happening on the city level via text, you can text COVID PHL to 888-777. And again, if somebody on my team can put that information in the comments, just in case people didn't catch it, I would definitely appreciate that. Outside of it being a big 48 hours, I just, again, want to say thank you to all the people on the ground level, those workers, those city workers, those folks who are still responsible for collecting our trash, those healthcare workers, and all the different people all across the city who are making sure that they're holding us down throughout the course of this process. People who are working in supermarkets, people who are working at the gas stations, in daycares, at post offices, laundromats, pharmaceutical companies, and things of that capacity. So again, thank you so much. We appreciate you on the ground level. I will try to do this live again tomorrow at the same time, just to keep people informed. I see a number of comments. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay, so yeah, Coach Bill at Frankfurt, thank you. If any students are in need of food, he has donations over there. So specifically people who live in the Frankfurt neighborhood, I know that you're following. Please reach out to Coach Bill and other folks that's a part of that Frankfurt family if you're in the Frankfurt section of the city and you are in need of some level of support. Last thing is business relief. There was a question about business relief. There will be a stimulus package that's put together on a federal level to help some level of business relief, but city council, as well as our state legislators, we are all working together, as well as the mayor's administration, to brainstorm what level of relief can we offer as far as support for businesses across the city of Philadelphia. So know that we're thinking about you. We're also thinking about those workers who've been laid off, those folks whose hours have been cut drastically. We know that this is a big hit for you, and we're brainstorming every single day. My team and I are working around the clock to figure out what can we do to support those workers. Do you think it will be a point where they start making everybody stay in at a certain time? So as far as people staying in at a certain time in Philadelphia, that's up to us. The problem in other places, you see it in Miami, you see it also on the West Coast. I'm sorry, you see it in Florida, but Miami, the city, but in Florida as well as on the West Coast, is that people aren't taking it serious. And like I said at the beginning of the live, we have 34 new cases in the city of Philadelphia, and out of that 34 new cases, 19 are young people. And so the ask to ask people to take this a little more serious has come from the fact that we have a lot of young people who just are still convening, who are still going to parties, who are going out, who are going to beaches and things like that. And that force elected officials and lawmakers to be a lot more stricter than what folks want to be. Look, again, this is a big 48 hours. So we need to see exactly where we are. And in order to prevent it from spreading, we need as many people as possible to make sure that they're staying home, that they're not contacting people, and they're not putting us in a position where we're more likely to spread it. So that's where we are with that. Hopefully it doesn't come to that in Philadelphia, because everybody, we're asking you to just do your part and try your best to limit contact with people. Try your best to stay home as often as possible. If you're ordering food, make sure it's delivery or something you can pick up real fast. And look, if you guys have any questions, concerns, ideas, please feel free to reach out. I have 2 more comments. I'm going to go through them, and then I'm going to sign off for the night. There will be a food shortage. We hear folks talking about a food shortage. We don't believe that's the case. I've talked to folks who are in my personal network who actually own supermarkets here in the city of Philadelphia, and they don't feel like it's going to be a food shortage. What they feel like is that people are buying in a way that they don't necessarily need to. Grocery stores are not closing. Food places are not closing. Restaurants, fast food places, they're not closing. I understand people's sense of urgency as far as buying in bulk because you're not sure how long you're going to be stuck in the house. And so we 100% get that. But, I've talked to folks who are working in supermarkets, who own supermarkets in the area, and actually they're hiring. So if you're out of work right now and you need some level of employment because they're so busy and because they will stay stocked up, especially in the immediate future, they are now hiring. So I don't think that we'll have a food shortage issue. It does depend on how long we're fighting this corona war, but I don't think that will happen. I work through a temp agency. Will that be included in the stimulus package? That's a great question. And we're thinking about temp employees, folks who might do 1099 work, whether it's TSS or in some level of education, independent contractors. Yes, we are thinking about you on a federal level. We understand that should be something that's considered. So as we're advocating and working with our partners in Congress, we're going to be asking them to consider you temp workers. It's very important. I believe something's going to happen by the weekend. Anything for hungry seniors. So, yeah, hungry seniors, we're thinking about you as well, too. We are going to try to set up a situation where we can have food delivered to seniors who can't make it out to the different rec centers and places across the city. The mayor and his administration, they know that that's a concern. It's something that we on council have communicated to them, not just seniors, but the homeless as well, too. So there has been dialogue with homeless shelters and homeless centers to make sure that they have the support that they need. And we are working on trying to set up a delivery system for seniors who need that level of support. I'm going to do one more question because it's a couple more comments. Thank you for the information. I think we're good to go, folks. I will be back tomorrow night. I think I covered everything that was on my list today. I want to thank my team and my wonderful wife who's like sitting here in the background helping me do this stuff because I'm not that good with technology, but I'm getting better. Will schools be closed for the rest of the school year? We don't know. We don't know. It's too early to call that. We have no clue at all. My man Mike said, don't leave this drum rolling. Look, y'all have no questions for me. If y'all have no questions, I'm not just going to stay here and just talk about nothing. HUD will not evict anyone. Right, correct. So public housing in the city of Philadelphia, you are good to go. They will not kick anyone. I'm in the Dominican Republic. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm sorry. I can't do too much international politics. That's not my strength. But I am concerned for anybody who might be forced to leave their space or their country. Election day, we're looking at June 2nd right now. Election day, the primary is definitely going to be pushed back. But the date that is being floated around right now is June 2nd, and we'll see about that. Brother Mark, thank you so much. My son was watching Harambe this morning. We are saying Kofa all the way through and through, so we appreciate you. Local elections. We're looking at June to push back local elections. So I think I've covered everything. For those of you who were logged on late, I apologize. But you could go back and watch this live. How long have we been, love? How many minutes is it? 30 minutes? Yeah. All right. So I did 30 minutes. Again, I will be back tomorrow, 8 o'clock. I spend all day trying to get as much intel and information that we are allowed to share. Some information is confidential. You've seen leaked confidential information come out yesterday, and we see how that happened. So I just want to remind all the young people to be safe. Parents, if you have young people in your family and your network, please encourage them to stay home. Make sure they're staying safe at night, and know that the surveillance in the city of Philadelphia is at an all-time high. Please do not believe that you will not be caught and prosecuted if you decide that you want to commit any crime here in the city of Philadelphia, especially right now, because there's not a lot of activity going on, and we can easily see what's going on as it relates to criminal activity in business corridors throughout cars and things of that nature. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll see everybody tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I want to thank all of my colleagues who I've been working with on a consistent basis, members of council, the mayor's administration, my partners in the state legislature, as well as the state senate, and our members of Congress. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.